Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arthritis Action podcast. I'm Mark, as always, your host, and today I'm joined by Paul White. Paul is the CEO of Hidden Disabilities Sunflower and is here to tell us today about the work they do as an organisation and how they help people living with non-visible or hidden disabilities. Arthritis Action recently partnered with Hidden Disabilities Sunflower to ensure people with arthritis are aware of the programme, and we wanted to chat to him a bit more about why it's of benefit to them. So, hello, Paul.
Hello, Mark. Delighted to be able to join you today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you, of course.
Thank you.
So I guess to start us off, can you tell us a little bit briefly about yourself and also about Hidden Disabilities Sunflower?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm the CEO of the Sunflower. The Sunflower is a global movement. We have organisations or representation all across the globe, all the way from the Australias to the Middle East, to the Far East, to across Europe, to the Americas. So we have representation all across the globe, and kind of my role within the Sunflower is kind of just to help bring all that together and to bring the movement of the Sunflower together to ensure we kind of work in a holistic way in how we provide support for people through the Sunflower. And it's our 10th year anniversary this year. On the 25th of June, we will be 10. So the Sunflower has now been around for a decade. Some people say, I can't believe it's been that short, and some people say, wow, has it really been around that long? But it's a decade old this June. So yeah, that's my role within the Sunflower, is just to really work on a global level.
Excellent. Oh, and congrats on the 10-year anniversary as well. Whether that be short or long, whatever people think, 10 years is great either way.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So how and why did Sunflower start?
So the Sunflower was created at Gatwick Airport 10 years ago, as I've just said, in 2016, where when they recognised that whilst they could see people with visible disabilities coming through their location, they couldn't see people with non-visible disabilities for obvious reasons. And they came to me and my team at the time, and with that question that we can see people, how do we support people with non-visible disabilities? And I owned a printing company at the time, completely different to this role that I'm now in. And we had the merchandise contract for Gatwick, and that's kind of why they came to us and our team. And we kind of played around with that idea on using a symbol, and that was using the Sunflower as a symbol to support people with hidden disabilities. We went back to the airport and presented that. The airport loved it, absolutely loved it, started using it as a discreet way that they knew what it was, the wearer knew what it was, the staff knew what it was, but it was a discreet symbol. It wasn't shouting from the rooftops that this person has a disability. It was creating something that was discreet. And naturally, you only go to the airport for one reason, right? And people then started to see the Sunflower in all different parts of society, all different parts of life. And it kind of just grew from there. And really, my kind of journey as part of that was, as I say, it was part of the printing company that I worked for. And whilst originally it was just about selling merchandise, was really what it was, I didn't really realise the impact that Sunflower would have on people and on society. And what happened, Mark, was I started to receive messages from people about how the Sunflower changed their lives, about how something that I'd been part of had allowed people to be a lot more confident, to go out and be a lot more independent. And that really had an effect on me in a person. I thought, you know what, this is worth more than just selling just a load of merchandise to airports. This could really do something for society. So I kind of did a 180 on what we were doing. I created the Sunflower scheme or the Sunflower program. I surrounded myself with people who had experience in supporting people with disabilities, providing programs. And we went out with the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower program with training modules, with all different aspects as part of the Sunflower to allow businesses to support their customers and colleagues with hidden disabilities, but through the Sunflower symbol. And it literally grew from there. So it was kind of through that journey. It was initially as a kind of a commercial decision, really. And it was that impact that I saw it having on the disabled communities that really kind of resonated with me as a person and kind of demonstrated the real importance for having something to be able for people to wear to show they had a non-visible disability. So that's kind of my story, really. It's kind of there, and it took me to this place we are now.
Amazing. I mean, it's one of those things where if you think about it, it's like it's shocking that didn't exist already in a way, if you know what I mean. Because it's like it feels like it's such a useful thing. And like I say, I've seen it around all over the place. Even before I started working here, I'd seen it. And it's one of those things like, why hasn't this always kind of existed as like a recognizable symbol to help let people know this?
There were symbols out there that people were wearing, such as I saw a lanyard that said I'm autistic, for instance, and these kind of
Mm,
things. But there was no symbol that captured everybody. There was no symbol that could capture everybody in the community, whether their condition was neurodivergence or whether it was anxiety or whatever that would be. And there was no real something that could capture every single condition and people becoming a part of. And the other thing that kind of resonated with me with this is the fact that other sort of minority groups, and if you say that the disabled community may have the minority of our society, other minority groups like the LGBTQ plus communities will have the rainbow
mhm.
flag, or Black Lives Matter will have a certain symbol. And the disabled community didn't have anything that they could kind of get behind it. And that's another thing that people have said to me is it gives people a symbol, it gives something, and it gives someone when they see that symbol, it resonates with them as a person. It resonates with them whether they're a person living with a disability or they have a family member or a colleague who has a disability. So it was about creating that symbol that people could be proud of and people could get behind and be able to use. So it's kind of a movement. I don't want to sort of overplay our sort of position in this, but we recognise our part in this, and we're kind of just custodians really in the
Mm.
sunflower symbol. We're the force behind driving how the sunflower is used. But across the globe, the sunflower has been taken by different communities and different groups, and they use it in different ways. Really, in just this way to create awareness for people with non-visible disabilities across the globe. And that really is what our hope is, that the sunflower is used in that way.
Excellent. No, that I think is absolutely great. I was actually one thing I suppose we should probably cover before we sort of move on to anything else is would you be able to clear up? So just like for any of our listeners, like what classes as a hidden disability or non-visible illness?
Well, the clue is in the name there. It's any disability that is not visible,
Mm,
anything that's not immediately obvious to others. So, as I say, that could be anything from a neurodivergent condition. It could be a visual or a hearing impairment. It could be arthritis, is obviously what we're talking about today.
mm,
And it's any disability that is not immediately obvious to another person. And the other element of that is disability isn't always permanent. Disability can be situational, disability can be temporary. So you could have anxiety about certain environments. You could be temporarily disabled if you have a hip replacement, for instance. So you've got all of these facets of disability, and really any condition that is not visible. And but also, there are also people with visible disabilities that will wear the sunflower because, again, just because you're a wheelchair user, it doesn't mean you haven't got something else going on in the
mm.
background. There's other disabilities. So it really is something there for all the disabled community to wear. And the thing to remember about the sunflower is it's an absolute choice. It's a choice of people to wear, and it just gives the wearer the ability to receive patience and understanding and kindness from the community around them. But that's really what it was created for. It was created for every single condition, whether you have a diagnosis or you don't, because there will be conditions out there that you can't get a diagnosis. But we feel people with that condition should just be able to receive the support that the sunflower provides as someone that has got a diagnosis.
Mm. It resonates a lot with the amount of people that I talk to with arthritis or through our charity. One of the biggest, like, I suppose, I don't know if complaints is the right word, but like one of the biggest complaints people have is or problems, I suppose, be better, is that people just take one look at them and assume like, oh, like why aren't you getting up for that pregnant lady? There's nothing wrong with you. Whereas they could be in a huge amount of pain or really struggle to be able to move, but they look absolutely fine because, as you said, like the disabilities aren't always visible and you can't know what's going on with someone. So I really do love the idea that there's something out there to kind of wear to like almost kind of in a way kind of protect people from a little bit of that prejudice.
It is certainly a way to cut through that. And can you imagine? I mean, I'm not a person who lives with a condition, but I can only imagine that the frustration that must bring for and
Mm,
how exhausting it is to constantly to reaffirm yourself within and your place and justify why you should have that seat or why you should have something else. And that's not a benefit. That's a human right. That's an absolute human right that people should live with. And it was through that was where the sunflower cut through. And my daughter is autistic, and we've seen through our eyes as a family of how the sunflower really work, which is one of the reasons it's such an important symbol for me personally. One of my triggers really was travel. We
Mm,
used to go on holiday, we used to get to the airport. She couldn't go through security. She found security really triggering. Anybody who went through her bag was really challenging for her.
yeah.
And all it needed was, we're going to go through your bag. This is what we're looking for and what we need. And that's all we needed, was something to slow down that process. And that wasn't there. That wasn't that at the time, that wasn't there. And for me, that just wasn't acceptable. That we
Mm,
as a family couldn't travel. We as a family couldn't, and our family couldn't have the rights the same as everybody else did. And the judgment and the bias that we had towards us, because she would have been seen as being a naughty child when she wasn't. She was triggered
mm,
because of the environment. And the sunflower allowed us to demonstrate that, but in a way, and we stopped receiving that judgmental looks. We stopped receiving people being unkind to us, and people started to be kinder to us. And that really is what we hope that the sunflower brings. It allows people to be kind. And the majority of people that I meet, that I talk to, are kind, want
mm.
to be kind, want to support people with disability. The challenge is 80% of all disabilities are not visible. How do you go about supporting that person if you can't see it? And one of the ways is by having the sunflower in society, and just even if that person's not wearing it, just having that awareness that not all
Mm.
disabilities are visible, and the value that can bring into your communities.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think most people will want to help if they can. It's just if they don't know, then they're just like, assuming it's something else. Whereas, like, if they do know, then
100%.
it can make a big difference. And the more people do think about it in general, I think you are right. The more conscious people will be in general about, like, you never know, it might be, and things like that. And you get used to thinking about it more.
And businesses want to support their disabled customers, and they want to
Yeah.
support their disabled colleagues. They want to be able to do that. But again, it comes down to that challenge of, how can they support that person if they can't see them? Now, they can create an environment that is accessible and inclusive, absolutely, which is completely right. And in 2026, it is a no-brainer. You
Mm.
have to create an inclusive environment to support people in this day and age. But they didn't. But they struggled with that. Businesses kind of struggled with that before the sunflower, because they didn't really know where to start. And the sunflower gives them the opportunity to have that conversation with their colleagues, conversation with their staff, that not all disabilities are visible, and it gives people confidence to use that business's location, because they can be safe. That organisation gets it. They understand that not all disabilities are visible.
Excellent. So, what support do you as an organization offer to people then, like businesses or the public?
So when a business joins the Sunflower, and there's over 40,000 businesses now across the globe that are sunflower friendly. When a business joins the Sunflower, they receive training. So they receive training on the sunflower that covers what are hidden disabilities, what is the sunflower, and how to support a person wearing the sunflower. So they receive training on the hidden disability sunflower, and they receive the ability to demonstrate to their customers and colleagues that they are sunflower friendly. And we then have a map on our site that shows all of those sunflower friendly sites. So people can go on there, they can see whether they will be supported. If they wear their lanyard in that location, they know that they will be supported as a sunflower wearer. And we ask that business pledges that 80% of their staff are trained within that location. So you can be confident as a sunflower wearer that 4 out of 5 people within that location will understand or will support you as a sunflower wearer. And that support really will be giving you a little bit more time, a bit of patience, a bit of kindness, or even just saying, I can see you wearing the sunflower, sir. What do you need? So that is what we provide to businesses. And then for the sunflower community, it's about giving them and creating an environment where people can wear the sunflower so they can feel confident that will be supported in that way. Being confident that the businesses that we recognise as sunflower friendly have taken that training, which we obviously follow up on, and they will be supported in the right way. So it really is just about creating this environment for the businesses to be able to support their customers or passengers or whoever they are, and the person using that location to be confident that they get it.
Lovely stuff. Love it. In general, what do you think some of the main obstacles people with a hidden disability, like arthritis, for example, face in their day-to-day life?
Well, again, it comes down to what we know, which is about the invisible aspects of that person's condition. If that person's condition isn't visible, it's very difficult for others to recognise that the challenges that person may face. And as a consequence, understanding is often in short supply. So the sunflower is that awareness tool. Now, I'm sure there's so many stories of bias that could be framed towards a person with disability that is absolutely that challenge. And that's really what we're trying to overcome. We're doing everything we can with the sunflower to normalise disabilities within our community. And we kind of hope that through the sunflower, we've helped to do that. We've really helped to create this symbol where people can understand. I was on a call earlier, and a gentleman said to me, I know it's something to do with disability, but I'm not really sure what. It's perfect, because at least that person has that awareness of kind of what it is, and we can build on that. We can absolutely build on that. And the sunflower is about what you can do. It's not about what you can't do. It's not about those barriers that society places in front of us. It's about what you can do. It's about confidence. So it really is about using the sunflower to create that environment. And the barriers that I saw really was, if your disability isn't visible, then are you telling the truth? And it was all about that was that place where things started. And you as a person, if you have a condition, are then having to justify yourself. And the sunflower allows you not to have to do that. You can see you're wearing a lanyard, sir. I can see you have some form of disability. What do you need? So it really is about, for us, trying to remove that bias and remove that stigma that is sometimes attached to disability.
Cool. So how do you get a sunflower lanyard then? And also, is it as a follow-on as well? Is it just lanyards? Are there other things available? I'm leading into this because I kind of know, but
There are many things available. So first and foremost, how do you get a sunflower piece of sunflower merch? There are two ways to get sunflower merchandise. First and foremost, the businesses that support the sunflower will give you a lanyard for free. So you haven't got to buy it. So there's a map on our site that shows you the locations that provide the sunflower. If you go to that location, they will give you a lanyard for free, no questions asked. You won't have to provide proof of your condition, anything at all. If you ask for a lanyard, they will give you one. If you don't want to go to that location, you can go to our site, which is hdsunflower.com, and you can purchase a lanyard from there. So a lanyard is about £1 to purchase a lanyard. But on our store, we have got so many different products, different wearables, from lanyards to pin badges to wristbands. And I think kind of what you're alluding to, we have a new Sunflower Extra card. So we have ID cards that are part of the Sunflower collection. But these are NFC enabled, these cards. So what you do is, when you purchase that card, you can add your details onto the site. So you can add your contact details, you can add your next of kin, but you can also add your conditions. You can also add what barriers you face and what adjustments that you actually need. And you can add that onto your page. And by using the NFC card, you can tap that onto your phone or somebody else's phone, and you can transfer that information across. So if you are non-verbal, for instance, or if you are in a foreign country and you don't speak the language, you can change the language. Or if you're just fed up with having to justify yourself constantly, you can tap that and you can pass that information across. So sunflower-friendly businesses know this product's out there. Certainly airports use it a lot because it's a great tool when you're going through security, for instance, with the airports. You can tap that and show them what your condition is. So if you can't go through the X-ray machine for some reason, you could tap that and show that there. If you've got specific medication, you can show that within your card. So these are the kind of elements. So the sunflower was really created as an analog product, a lanyard. You put it
yeah.
on, you take it off. When you're not, obviously you won't wear it indoors, but if you're in an environment where you feel okay, you put it in your bag. And then we've kind of evolved it to kind of introduce tech where we can, so it's a lot more user friendly for the sunflower wearers.
Excellent. Do you have to disclose what condition do you have to get any sunflower products?
Absolutely not.
Mm.
Absolutely. One of the key elements of the sunflower is you never have to prove what your condition is. And that is because of what I said earlier. There's people who will not have a diagnosis. So whether the diagnosis isn't available, or maybe they're awaiting that diagnosis. Coming back to my daughter, she wasn't diagnosed with autism until she was 19. And before then, she was anxious and she was delicate and she was all these other elements, but she was autistic. And She just needed the support that the sunflower could provide. And if we hadn't have introduced the sunflower in this way, she would never have been able to get that because she didn't have a diagnosis. So we won't ask for proof of a person's condition, and nobody will ask for proof of a person's condition. And when a person talks to someone with sunflower, one question you don't ask is, what disability do you have? If you want to share that and that person can make adjustments based on that, then great, then perfect, that's your choice. But that's your choice to do that. All of the training around the sunflower is, I can see you're wearing a sunflower, madam. What do you need? And it gives you the power to be able to go back to that person and say, I might just need somewhere quiet to sit down, or I might need to go through a different queue because I can't stand for too long. Whatever that is, whatever that would be, or you might need to talk a little bit more slowly to me. Whatever that would be, that's really what the sunflower's there to provide.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of I love that about it. I think that's great that you don't have to disclose it. I love that it gives you that recognizable symbol, but it allows that privacy as well. Because there's definitely a kind of, I guess some people might feel a little vulnerable about it as well, or not want to, or even just private about it because it's no one's business. But it's good to let the people know so that they can help you if you need it.
And you wear it in that situation when you feel you need it the most. So if you're in an environment where you don't need any accommodations or adjustments, then you don't have to wear it. It really is to be worn when you need to feel supported. I know so many people that will wear it in certain environments. My daughter, for instance, will wear it. Well, certainly she'll always have it with her. She won't always have it around her neck, but when she leaves, it's keys, phone, lanyard, and she's got those three things. Now they're always in her bag, and when she feels triggered, and when she feels where she needs that support, takes it on her bag, puts it on, and it instantly starts to give her that confidence because she knows she'll feel supported. So it's about giving that person, empowering the individual with a tool that allows them to be seen and allows them to take up the space that they so deserve.
Excellent. Love it. Love it. What can someone do for anyone listening to this, they've already had a good rundown about what Sunflower's all about. But what advice would you give for someone that they could do if they were to see someone with a lanyard, and they don't know what that is?
So, as I've said, I hope everybody listening now as you said, now has an idea what the sunflower is. It really is about just giving that person a smile and a kind word, and just and a little bit more time, and just asking that person if they need anything, if that person looks lost, whatever it would be. And it's also about not making assumptions and not making judgments about people. You hear so many stories about people with certain conditions where they look like they might be drunk or whatever that is. And it's nothing to do with that. It's to do with their health condition. So it's about thinking. It's just about taking that little time just to think a little bit, and think, maybe that person might need my support. But you'll be amazed what a smile and a kind word can do to a person's day, to what a smile and a kind word can do for the confidence for somebody who already feels challenged in certain environments to wear the sunflower. So it really is just about doing that. And it's just about creating this environment that's a lot more calmer and a lot more kinder for people, to allow people to go out and experience everything that everybody has got the right to experience.
100% agree. Yeah, that's great. I suppose when it comes to this, is one thing I think with arthritis is a lot of people probably don't necessarily think that their level of arthritis or severity of arthritis is bad enough to warrant something like that. Now, obviously, from everything you've been saying, I imagine you very much disagree with that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? If people feel like maybe, oh, my arthritis isn't that bad, I don't get to wear one of those.
Well, I mean, what interested me about that question is, as when we was chatting earlier, I mentioned I listened to some of your podcasts
Mm.
before this podcast, and the first one I went to, I think, was called Men and Podcast, or Podcast and Men, was the
Oh yeah,
title of the
men with
first one.
arthritis. Yeah,
Men with
men with arthritis.
arthritis.
Yeah.
Sorry, men with arthritis. That was the first thing that resonated. That one will do. I'm going to go straight into that. And the interesting part I picked out of that was about shaking hands. That was the first. I listened
Mm.
to it and I really enjoyed it. But about shaking hands, and I'd never considered that before. That's such a male thing to do. Is how you do it.
Yeah.
Shake hands, and as you mentioned on the podcast, or your guest might have mentioned, some people have got very strong handshakes, and that's part of their being and part of them being a man. And I never considered how painful that could be for
Mm.
somebody with arthritis, how that could be, and how that would be. And if somebody comes up to me, you feel obligated to shake their hand. Absolutely obligated. Now, absolutely, when I now see somebody wearing the sunflower, I will not go straight in and dive in and shake their hand, or I'll
Mm.
try and do it in a kind of way because that person could have arthritis. So there's just a really simple way that the sunflower can support someone in your community, Mark. Someone can
Mm.
support someone with arthritis. Now, you don't have to be, how do you phrase how disabled that person is? How do you phrase how challenging that person's condition is? Well, you absolutely can't.
No.
And it's about using the sunflower in the way that that person needs it the most. It's about empowering that person. And if that person you're talking about there, or that hypothetical person who doesn't
Yeah.
like to shake hands, if that person went to a meeting where everybody shakes hands and wore the sunflower and wore one of our cards that says, I have arthritis, someone like myself now, after
Mm.
listening to your podcast, wouldn't go up to that person and shake their hand. We would pat them on the shoulder and ask them politely, is it okay if we shake hands? And that's exactly what that's the definition of inclusion, right? That's the
Mm.
definition of inclusion is we all make small adjustments that everybody feels part of the whole. And that's what I took from that question, is that is how I could make one really small adjustment to support the community who live with arthritis.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for listening
So
so
it
much and
proves I did
referencing. Yeah.
listen, right?
Oh no, I
So
believe it.
I
Yeah.
did listen. It wasn't me just playing lip service. I did actually listen. I listened to the podcast. It was great.
Oh, excellent, thank you. I think you've touched on something that's really important as well about that. It's all just about awareness as well. I think I said a little bit about this earlier. Like if people inherently want to be good about these things, but it's not something they've ever considered. That might be an issue, or that what they're doing in their behavior might cause a problem for someone else's. It's just what they do naturally. But then, like as you say, if there's someone now you're aware that, oh wait, now there are people, if I just shake their hand, that might be an issue. And I think just the more you know about this stuff and the more you've thought about it in general, you can start to apply it just in
Yep.
life in general. And just by
Yeah.
doing that, as you said earlier as well, you could just make someone's day a little bit better by doing that. Because it must be so nice to go, oh, thankfully someone who gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you think of those small adjustments, they don't just work for people with arthritis, they work with people with many different conditions. That if someone is neurodivergent and they don't like to shake hands or whatever that is, and we use
Mm,
that as a very small example, but it just that will now go through my thought process. I will think about that now, and it won't stop me shaking people's hands because that's what a lot of things what guys do.
mm.
But if I meet someone that tells me they have arthritis, I will absolutely do that because that's the first thing that I took out of your podcast. I'm definitely one of these people that starts from the ground up. I don't start. I've always worked from the bottom up and kind of making
Mm.
these really small steps and really small adjustments. And a lot of ways, that's kind of what the Sunflower encourages organisations to do, to make these small deliverable steps. It's not about creating this incredible environment because a lot of time that's not achievable. It's about taking small, tangible steps to support the disabled communities, and then the value that will bring to that organisation, and how will it encourage people to use your organisation's facilities. So that's really what we really advocate for as an organisation.
It's brilliant. I love it. I love all the work you do. So what's the correct phrasing for what we are now? We are partner, we are member of your scheme.
You are a sunflower friendly organisation, and you are absolutely a sunflower friendly organisation. And I know that we as an organisation, each month we run a series of disability months as an organisation, and each month we invite that an organisation with a different condition to talk to the businesses about that condition, and it helps
Mm,
to build that awareness. And I know that the World Arthritis Month is October, and we've got that
yes.
planned with your organisation in October. So we'll be using October to really just to build the awareness of arthritis across the sunflower friendly businesses. And as I say, that's 40,000 strong across the globe. So we use that webinar to go out and communicate across all different languages, across all aspect of all different countries where we deliver the sunflower, to hopefully just to raise that bar. So if you coming on there, Mark, I would really encourage you to talk about, just to mention about shaking hands, because as I say, because I
Yeah.
know it's a really small point, and I know there's huge, there's so much more to obviously arthritis than that, of course. But it really resonated with me. It was that one point that really resonated, that I know I can build on myself when I about my learnings of people who live with arthritis, and certainly our organisation can.
I love it. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, we're honored to be part of it all as well, because I have a lot of respect for what you guys do, and I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Cool.
There was one other thing I wanted to ask, actually. What would you say to some people who may not feel happy wearing the lanyard? Like, for example, they can feel vulnerable, like kind of puts like a little target on them. Is that something that you've ever come across? Is there any advice around that one, or is it just, to wear it just when you feel comfortable?
Well, the sunflower doesn't define the person, right?
No,
The
no.
sunflower it doesn't define that person at all. The sunflower is just a symbol to wear in certain environments to enable that person to be supported. It's not there to define them as a certain sector or a certain group of people.
Mm,
It's just a symbol that can be, and we've trained businesses and organizations to understand what that means. So when that person wears the sunflower in that location, they will be able to receive support. Now, not everyone person in the disabled community, of course, will either want to wear the sunflower or need to wear the sunflower.
yeah.
But that for those that do, we all have got that now, have got that ability to offer that person that extra level of kindness, understanding, support that person might need. So it really is this, it's an absolute choice. We respect people's individual choice. And just remember that it doesn't have to be worn all the time. It can just be there when that person feels they need that support. So it is a brave step. It is an absolute brave step for people
Mm,
to wear because people do obviously feel vulnerable around their condition. Disability historically was seen as a weakness. I don't believe that personally,
no.
and I certainly don't believe that the businesses and organisations in 2026 certainly believe that, but that historically was seen as a weakness. So
Mm,
it's getting over that barrier, which takes bravery to make that step. But if you can feel that you can make that step and you can wear the sunflower in certain environments, then you will be able to receive that support. I mean, I've worn the sunflower. I live with anxiety as a person, and I find certainly airports. I travel a lot with the sunflower, and
mm,
certainly airports for me at times with my anxiety is really triggering for me, Mark. And I feel that where I wear the sunflower best is when I'm on my own. If I'm on my own,
mm.
where no one knows me, nobody knows me, nobody knows who I am, and I can put it on, and it really gives me that confidence of to take up my space within that environment. So maybe it's just give it a go. It's maybe try it somewhere where you're not known, walking through an environment where you're not known, where you're not going to be seen by somebody who knows you, where you could feel a little bit not embarrassed, that's the wrong word, but you could feel a bit
Self-conscious,
anxious,
perhaps. Yeah.
self-conscious, that's the word, self-conscious about wearing it. Just give it a go and see how it makes you feel and really build off of that. And that's kind of what I did when I first started wearing the sunflower for my anxiety. I kind of built off the back of that. And now for me, if I feel that I feel anxious in certain environments, I'll put it around my neck with no questions asked.
Amazing. So, how can people find out more about Hidden Disability Sunflower?
Website hdsunflower.com is the best place to start. We are all over social media. Just chuck in the Hidden Disability Sunflower into Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you use, LinkedIn, and you'll find yourself onto our page. You'll find all of the work that we do, both in the UK and across the globe. You'll be able to find all the businesses that are sunflower friendly, and you'll be able to find where you can get support.
And I'll add links for all of that in the episode description as well. So you don't have to go searching. You can just click down below and we'll have them all for you there. And also, I should probably add, you'll have all the information for our website as well in the episode description if you want any more information about what we've talked about or the other services that we or Hidden Disabilities both offer. So, yeah, you can find all of that there. Also, please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, all of that stuff for the podcast as well. The usual stuff you'll hear me doing at the end of every episode. And yeah, anything else you'd like to end on, Paul?
I would like to say we also run a podcast ourselves. If your audience is interested,
Mm,
we run a podcast ourselves called Sunflower Conversations, where we talk to people with individual conditions, really about the barriers that they may face and how they live with their condition. But it's a really positive, uplifting podcast. So it's called the Sunflower Conversations. You can find it wherever anybody gets their own, wherever you get their podcast from. So I just encourage people to maybe go on there, give that a like, give it a go, try and find a condition that resonates with yourself, and then maybe give that a listen. But apart aside from that, thank you for hearing my story, Mark. Thank you for inviting me to come onto your podcast, and I hope it's been really interesting for people to listen to.
excellent. I mean, it's been interesting for me, so I've had a good time anyway. So thank you so much for joining me, Paul. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for listening. Cheers. Bye bye.